There's more girls here than anywhere in the world, and we play rock and roll. All we do now, we don't like add in. Some clubs will play a little bit of rock and roll. We play only rock and roll. I like the girls that come here.
All right, we're on Disco West Cult TV. What's up, Protomax? I'm by myself tonight. I think it's actually kind of my fault. I probably won't be on here too long. I guess depending on how chat goes, because I hate solo streams. I was supposed to have Casper on tonight, but I realized that I didn't hit him up like all week, like since the last thing we did. So I hit him up this morning, and then he texted back and basically just said he forgot about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, my bad, I forgot about it." And he said he's still down. So I'm gonna see if he wants to do next Thursday or if he wants to do some other day before then. But I kind of thought throughout the week I should have like continuously been talking to him to like, make sure he remembers. He said he has band practice, like he scheduled a band practice today or something. So yeah, I would still just say my fault because I just like I said, we made the plan like a week and a half ago, and then I just never hit him up about it to say anything about it. And I kind of figured that's what would happen. But I do that. I'll make plans with people and then I'll never mention it again until like a few hours before the plan. So I'll figure out when he wants to do it. Like I said, he might want to just do next Thursday or he might want to do a day sooner. I don't know. I told him I'm open to whenever, but I'll see when he says so. So for tonight, I don't know. I figured I would at least just get on to like say that it's just me. And like I said, I probably won't do a whole 2 hours or whatever because I don't have 2 hours worth of stuff to talk about by myself. But I'll see what happens with chat. The only stuff I even had in mind if I was gonna go by myself was movie stuff or, I realized I didn't even talk about the Youngblood thing last night, and that's, like, in the title of the video. So I should change that. I'm not going to, but I should, but I'm not. Yeah, I don't like, I mean, I procrastinate everything, but a lot of the time it's just that I procrastinate even, like, hitting people up to be like, you know, "Are we still good for" like, I should have hit him up, like, 2 or 3 days ago and been like, "Are we still on for Thursday?" Or whatever time, or just, like I said, continuously kept talking to him to make sure that nothing else came up. But, yeah, I woke up this morning and then thought, "Oh, fuck, it's Thursday. I probably should hit him up just because we haven't talked in days." But, I guess other than that, I could do the Youngblood thing. It's gonna pull up a movie trailer at some point too. There's a decent chance I don't even leave the stream uploaded. I guess it just depends on how it goes. But for right now, I guess when I do solo streams, I should do like a longer intro and see if like people pour in. Because I guarantee you, like I'll be sitting here for an hour not talking about shit, and then like some people will show up or something, and then you've got a whole hour long of a shitty stream before anybody pours in and actually starts talking about stuff. So that gets really annoying. But we talked about the Grammys last night. Just me and Annie, by the way. We talked about the Grammys, and then for some reason I forgot to mention the Youngblood thing about the Grammys. So I figured for now I could do that. Let me pull that up. I have this thing bookmarked. Yeah, Youngblood just being goofy. Youngblood at the Grammys. He says, rock music is coming back. And then he says, pop music better watch out. Which I thought was very silly because he's definitely a pop singer. Kind of made me think of Uncle Ruckus. This is like racist black people who hate other black people, you know. Youngblood being a pop star, but telling pop music to watch out, we're coming for you. You know, who is the we? Who is the we in this situation, Youngblood? You're not rock and roll yet. But I don't know. I guess this is just how he's gonna keep talking. He's gonna keep talking like this until he finally does release a rock and roll album. If he ever does release a rock and roll album. Everything he's done lately has just been collaborations with old rock stars that are, past their prime, which I guess makes sense if you're gonna do collaborations with rock stars. What other rock stars are there today than rock stars who are past their prime? I just don't know how he doesn't see this, and this is one of those, like, you gotta look in the mirror thing, you know? If Youngblood thinks that all the music he's released is rock music and not pop music, then that makes me worried even more so for his career as a rock and roll guy, you know? Like, we've put rock and roll in the hands of a guy who doesn't know what rock and roll music even is. And then I found out that song he did with Billy Corgan and Smashing Pumpkins, that wasn't even, like, a new song, that was just a rework of one of his old songs. They couldn't even just write a new song or whatever? I have no idea, but I know I didn't like it. I know I still don't like this guy as, like, the rock guy. Like I said, I don't hate the guy, he's got some songs. I keep saying he's got some songs, he's got one song that I like, and then he does a feature in someone else's song where I like his performance in that song. That's about all I can say. But, I don't know. I also need to think about I don't even know what me and Casper are gonna do. I was thinking about that the other day too. I don't even really know what we are going to talk about. I'm sure it'll be easier with him because he is actually good at talking, and he actually does have, like, a real social life and probably will be able to continue bringing things up out of nowhere. So I'm not worried about us not having anything to talk about. I was just thinking as far as, like, theming the show or, like, branding the episode or whatever, you know? I guess it's just gonna kinda be like a free for all, which is also totally fine. I just will have to start getting clever with the titles. I always wonder, like, what to title the streams, but whatever, I'll think of that when we do. Yeah, I wonder what day we're gonna end up doing now. Like I said, it could end up being next week, it could end up being this weekend. I guess who knows? I mostly wanna see if, shit piss. Oh, yeah, I do live in California. Um, what did I say that makes me sound like I don't live in California? Oh, the Texas in the title. No, that's just, I was potentially gonna pull up this trailer for a movie that I really like called The Great Texas Dynamite Chase. So, I titled it The Great Texas Dynamite Stream. I only thought about that because I'm considering watching that movie tonight. I've been on a really long '80s, streak of movies. Every movie I've been watching for the last weeks or months or whatever has been from the '80s, but I might finally go back to the '70s tonight to watch this Great Texas Dynamite Chase movie. It's like one of my favorite movies. I was originally like the first time I wanted to make a video about a movie, I was gonna do that movie. But then I realized, I still would like to do that in the future, but then I realized that's not gonna pull in any clicks. Not that every video I make needs to be concerned with pulling in clicks, but For sure, if you look up reviews on YouTube of the Great Texas Dynamite Chase, you find, like, a small handful of videos that have, like, 24 views or, like, views in the hundreds. So, that's when I shifted over and started working on the 16 candles video, which I'm still gonna do. I know I keep saying that, but now I've just been working on other stuff, I guess. Dude, it's this great movie. I'll just pull up the trailer. There's this actress named Claudia Jennings from the 70s. She was like a Playboy model in the late 60s, early 70s, and then she got into movies in the 70s. And she died in, I think, 1979, which is also when her last movie came out. But her best movie, in my opinion, is this movie called The Great Texas Dynamite Chase. It's this movie about these two girls that rob banks together with dynamite. They go into banks and they light sticks of dynamite and they rob the banks. And the trailer has no ads on it from what I can tell because it's such a little known movie.
Candy and Ellie Joe.
She's still in there, I know!
Hold up, man. They'll steal your hearts and rob your bank.
Ellie Joe. Yeah, how'd we
I love that guy's enthusiasm too. The guy doing the voiceover in this trailer, I hope this guy got paid a lot of money.
do? Full vacation.
In the Great Texas Dynamite Chase.
The money's just sitting there, begging for us to go in and get it.
I'd like to withdraw $20,000 from your vault.
They blaze their way across Texas, leaving a path of highway patrolmen in their wake.
Oh, go on, girl! Come on, don't do that! Don't leave me here like that!
One false move from any of you and this sucker's had it. Okay, now that we've got your attention, we'd like your money.
Stand there, call the police.
Come on, Candy, let's all have a good time.
Come on, honey, this is a robbery.
Okay, honey, one fast move and he gets it.
Let's get rich.
Claudia Jennings,
Okay, I'm game.
Jocelyn Jones,
I see a future in this.
Johnny Crawford, the Great Texas Dynamite Chase.
Yeah, great movie. Definitely one of my favorites. For sure, one of my favorites from the 70s. Out of the exploitation film genre, they call it Hicksploitation, which I think is ridiculous considering that rednexploitation was right there. You could have called this subgenre rednexploitation, so that's what I call it. But she does this other movie called Gator Bait that's also really good. But that trailer has tits in it, which is also how you know it's a great movie. If there's even tits in the trailer, you can't even pull up the trailer on YouTube. But that's another one of her best movies. Gator Bait, The Great Texas Dynamite Chase. Great Texas Dynamite Chase is definitely the best. A lot of people would say Gator Bait is the best. I think that's her second best. She's really good in Fast Company, too. There's a great movie from 79 called Fast Company, but she's honestly barely in that movie, which is kind of a bummer. But it is a good movie. It's like David Cronenberg's weirdest movie, considering that it's a very normal movie. Usually David Cronenberg movies are super weird horror movies like The Fly, sci-fi type stuff, Videodrome. But he did this one movie called Fast Company in 1979 that he says he basically just did for a paycheck. And it's just about drag racers. It's a race car movie, but it's 79, so it's all like American flag, like the main guy's car is all like American flag decked out and it looks super cool. And it's funny, that's like the original this channel. I used to have all of the logos and stuff was like American flag. I think I even still have one. Yeah, like this. This used to be the logo of the channel. Because I was into like 1970s. when everybody had the American flag everywhere. But then I realized I don't want people to think this is like a conservative politics YouTube channel. So I knew I had to change that, which is kind of a bummer that you can't use an American flag without people assuming that you're like some conservative YouTuber. I really kind of hate that, but I mean, if this wasn't the era we were living in, I would definitely do a Confederate flag logo, to be completely honest. I'd go full Leonard Skinner or Pantera, and I would just do that logo, but I would just do it with the Confederate flag because the Confederate flag is badass. Like despite whatever anyone thinks of the politics, the design itself is badass. It looks cool no matter what. But, that's even more off limits than the American flag. I've actually never watched Dukes of Hazzard. I'm sure I would like it, is the thing. I'm sure I would like it just fine. It completely reminds me of stuff like this, Great Texas or not necessarily Fast Company, but the redneck type 70s shit. So I'm sure I would like it. I just don't watch a lot of series. And I know Dukes of Hazzard was like a TV show. But yeah, I'm sure I would like it just fine. I just haven't gotten into it. Now I'm trying to think about other Claudia Jennings movies where I can play the trailer. Okay, another one of her more famous movies that actually might not even have a trailer because it's so like unknown, low budget type shit. I think there's like a remake of a trailer though that I can pull up, but I also have to make sure there's no nudity in that trailer. She did this movie back in 1972 called Unholy Rollers. And it's like ungodly poor quality. I think it might be a Roger Corman movie. Like you would swear they didn't even set up microphones in some of these scenes. Like there's some scenes where the girls are talking in a locker room. It's about roller derby girls back in the 70s when roller derby was like half professional wrestling. Like they would kind of intentionally set up storylines and they would have characters. But at the same time, girls were like just going out on the track and like beating the shit out of each other. I think nowadays it's like they do it as a straightforward sport. Like now, if you find a roller derby league, it's pretty much just like they treat it like a real sport, which I think is kind of ridiculous. They shouldn't, they should stick to the professional wrestling ways. Yeah, I think I am going to be good to play this fucking trailer. From what I see so far, it's a bit shorter. Yeah, let's pull this bad boy up. Let me shrink myself down a little bit so I'm not in the way. This one I've only watched one time. I need to watch this one again, but it's a good one.
The banked track, the pack, the blockers, the jammer, and the screaming fans who love every minute of it. It's the action-packed sport of roller derby. This is Karen. The fans love her, but to her teammates, she's trouble.
They come to see the likes of me, not your little Beverly or any of the other broads. They come to see a star.
Follow her rise to Queen of the Ring in Unholy Rollers, a whirlwind tale of speed, sex,
Kiss me.
and stardom flying at you with crash-through impact. Featuring Betty Ann Reed,
Well, they think they're gonna make that new kid a star overnight. They're gonna have to deal with me first.
Louis Quinn,
You stop selling tickets, you're dead.
and Playboy Playmate of the Year, Claudia Jennings.
Hey, are you a real doctor?
Unholy Rollers. A locker room look at the toughest broads in the world.
Has been traded down to the San Diego Demon.
Back when you could call girls broads in movie trailers. Yeah, there's a weird scene where she goes to get like a physical from a doctor, and the doctor's definitely a weirdo, and like doesn't put on gloves. And I think he is a real doctor in the movie, but he's just definitely weird too. And he gives girls like prescriptions without actually even needing it. It's a funny movie, but Yeah, it's about this roller derby chick, and she gets real big headed. She becomes like the star of a roller derby team. And it's funny because there's no like, there's no like she doesn't become a better person. There's not really like any journey she goes on. It's just she's just kind of a bitch throughout the whole movie, and then the movie ends. Yo, what's up, Triple E? Hope all is well. Hope all is well with you too. The last 80s movies I watched was called like Body Double or some shit. Body Double. I might have to check this out. What's up, Annie? Annie, I just texted you before I went on, I think, to explain that I was running solo. I probably okay, yeah, you already liked it. Okay. But yeah, no, Body Double, now I'm curious. That makes me think of like a sci-fi movie. When it comes to 80s stuff, I'm usually watching horror movies, but then I'm also watching John Hughes movies, obviously 16 Candles being my favorite. I did recently watch The Breakfast Club again. That's always a classic. I got a couple recommendations from some people in a Facebook group for like the 80s teen comedy romance movies that I haven't seen yet. Valley Girl's one that I saw recently that, is just, of course, great. Early Nicolas Cage. That guy's a total fucking weirdo, but like in the best way. Yeah, it is hard to choose between 80s and 70s when it comes to movies. When it comes to 70s, though, I like the low budget stuff, the stuff that no one's ever heard of, which isn't so good for me, like choosing movies to talk about on YouTube, obviously, because no one's ever heard of them. There's a great podcast you can find on Apple Podcasts called The Grind Bin. And it's all they do is grindhouse movies, low budget shit that no one's ever heard of. And I think they're a pretty successful podcast. But that's like one of the best podcasts out there. Yeah, you sent me that clip. I think you did. And what's funny is, yeah, a teacher throws a shoe at some girl in preschool, some preschooler. And what's funny is there's like two other teachers in the room that watch it. That was the funniest part to me. So that must be like a common thing. If other teachers are just standing by and watching it, there's no way that's not like a totally common thing at that preschool that happens. I guess that's what I should have done when I have to do solo streams. I should look up, like, I should have like a collection of clips that I'm going to pull up on the stream. That would probably be the smartest idea, but I never plan ahead for this shit. I was going to say I'll find the Fast Company trailer, but that one's really short and it doesn't really get into too much about the actual movie. He throws a shoe. Yeah, the only guy I know that throws a shoe is the guy that throws a shoe at George Bush. I would assume that's what you're saying when you say if you know, the George W. Bush thing. Bush dodging shoes like a champion, one of his finer moments. But I could be wrong. I could be incorrect. All right, let me run through this one real quick. You're a lucky man. This one's got great music in it too. This movie has a great score. You're never more alive when you feel this power.
All right, teams, queens, guys in blue jeans, this is it. The world of the drag racer, fast cars and fast company.
Why didn't you call me a slut?
Oh, you've never seen the George Bush clip? I'll pull that up. This trailer's like a minute long. I'll pull it up. What part of Austin Powers? I love the Austin Powers movies, and I have them all 3 on DVD. I just haven't watched them in so long. I don't remember anything about the shoe throwing part. But I am definitely going to pull up that George Bush clip.
In that car, and you ain't gonna stop us.
This movie is just about like a racing team, and their manager is super corrupt. But it's John Saxon, which is, of course, one of the all-time greats. And John Saxon plays a bad guy in this movie, which you really never get to see. When you think of John Saxon, you think of the good guy from Nightmare on Elm Street. You think of the cop from Black Christmas. So it was really cool to see him in the role of a bad guy. That's why I would recommend Fast Company. Like I said, Claudia Jennings is barely in it. She's really only the main character's girlfriend and his motivation to retire from racing. That's all she's in the movie for, and it's a huge bummer because by that point she's like a really good actor too. You know, early in the 70s, she's not the greatest actress, but she gets a lot better as the 70s go on. And in Fast Company, she's like a perfectly capable actress. Let me get that George Bush clip going. Boy, that's something I never thought I would say on a live stream. Let's get that George Bush clip going. But there's no way you haven't seen it. You probably just don't remember it. Both shoes. The second one wasn't really that much of a dodge. The guy pretty much missed the throw, but the first one was a straight up dodge. Yeah, that one was straight up going for his head. Yeah, that was definitely going to hit him. Like, that first shoe would have hit him straight in the face, I think. And then, yeah, the second one was just a bad throw, but still, much credit to George Bush for sure. I like how he's sitting there laughing about it, too. Oh, man. This is the president of my childhood type shit. Yeah, now watch this drive. Oh, that's right. Austin Powers has the Odd Job spoof where he throws the shoe instead of the hat. I just watched that 007 movie recently too. That was a break from my 80s streak too. I mentioned I've been on an 80s streak. Yeah, fucking random task. That shit's hilarious. Yeah, I did watch a couple of Sean Connery 007s throughout the last month or two. That was a big break from my 80s streak too. I forgot about that. What's funny about the Sean Connery 007 scenes is they're obviously the best 007 movies of all, but it is very hard to go from, like, the action of the modern day 007 movies back to, like, you know, the 60s with Sean Connery. Remember in the 60s and 70s, all of the action movies, the karate chop was, like, the death blow. You know, you watch, like, Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. That's a trailer I'll pull up, one of the best movies of all time. But a lot of those action movies, they use a karate chop as, like, the finishing blow, and I'm sure that's because of safety reasons. Because, like, what's safer than a fucking karate chop from, like, a 120-pound girl, you know? But it's hard to watch, you know, as much as, like I was saying, the Sean Connery movie is best James Bond of all time, his acting is perfect, but to watch the action of, like, Casino Royale or even, like, The World Is Not Enough and then go back to the '60s and watch the action there, obviously it's a little less hard hitting. So it's kind of like going from Dragon Ball Z back to Dragon Ball, in my opinion. Like, I can't go back to Dragon Ball because I miss the action of Dragon Ball Z. No Time to Die. Did I just watch No Time to Die? I just watched the most recent 007 movie, where he actually dies. Which one was that? Sorry, I did not mean to hit the June music. It was No Time to Die. Okay, that's a big disagreement that we have, Shit Piss. I fucking hated that movie. I hated No Time to Die. Why did I hate it? I think I'm not gonna lie. I hated the hold on, let me get to these other comments. I hated the new 007 replacement. You know, people always talk about, oh, they're gonna make 007 a black chick. And I'm like, they already did. They did it in No Time to Die. 007 was a black chick in that movie. Now watch this drive. Yeah, that's easily one of the greatest presidential moments of all time in general. Like, top 5 is just George Bush saying, "Now watch this drive." And hear the story where during one of Bush's briefings, he was told that 2 Brazilian soldiers had been killed, and he was shocked and said, "How many? How many is a Brazilian?" But he's like keeping score. You know, in the movie, Respect, but I thought the story was good. I'll give it to you on the story. The story of James Bond coming back, you know, after retirement. That's cool. And they kind of did that in what's the one where they think he dies in the beginning of the movie? The one with Javier Bardem where the other chick accidentally shoots him and then he falls into the water, and then he disappears for a short time and then comes back. I like when they do stuff like that, like when James Bond disappears or retires for a time and then he has to come back to do a job because they can't do it without him. Which, like, of course, you replace 007 with a black chick. Of course, you're going to need the real James Bond to come back. So I'll give you that. The story was cool. And like him having a kid, that was interesting. But how many is a Brazilian? That makes me think of in the original Toxic Avenger, in the scene where the main villains are like driving around killing people. I wish I could pull that scene up, but that scene is probably not on YouTube. There's a scene where the villains in the Toxic Avenger are driving around and they're running people over and killing them. And the girlfriend is explaining to her boyfriend, the driver, how many points each kill is worth, and it goes by race. So she's like, this race is worth 20 points. This race is worth, and she says all the words. She says the N word. Didn't even get that one the time of day. That one's actually a good one. If you like the Daniel Craig 007 movies, the one with Javier Bardem is pretty good. That one's really actually cool. I like because it gets into like morality. That one's really like an M movie, and I really like Judi Dench as M. God, what was that one called? Skyfall. Yeah, if you haven't seen Skyfall, I would check that one out if you're interested in 007 at all. Because it's a former 00 agent that is the main villain. He worked for M back in the day. And he had some bad shit happen to him, and he stays bitter at M. And then he comes back and tries to get revenge on M, and then 007 has to step in and help out. M actually dies in that movie. That's why M is a dude in No Time to Die, because Judi Dench's M dies in Skyfall. I guess that might be a huge fucking spoiler. Sorry about that. I'm bad with spoilers because I don't care about spoilers. Yeah, he pulls out his teeth and it's all fucked up. Like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm bad with spoilers because I don't care about spoilers. Like, people can spoil things for me and I'll still enjoy the movie just as much, but I know that's not how most people are, so I try to not spoil too much. But yeah, he does have the fucked up face. He like pulls his teeth out and shit. What else did I say I was going to pull up? I swear to God, I said I was going to pull something up. I also don't care about spoilers. Yeah, just some people really will be like, they talk like spoilers are like a sin, just like a complete sin. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. If the movie is good, the spoiler won't matter. Like, even if I know that like a big plot twist is coming, like I still care about the journey up to the plot twist. I can still enjoy it just as much. Sometimes I even like knowing what happens beforehand because then I can pay attention and like look for certain things that you wouldn't normally get until like a second or third watch through. But so yeah, sometimes I prefer the spoilers. There have been times when like I'll watch a podcast first. Like, I watched a podcast episode about the Lost Boys before I ever watched the Lost Boys. They went through the plot and everything, and I still, obviously love the Lost Boys. I forgot my mom got me a Lost Boys shirt for Christmas, and I have not busted that out yet. I've still been wearing long sleeves on the stream, but since I live in shitty fucking gay California, and it's pretty much hot here already because we get no fucking winter time. We get totally ripped off in the winter time. I'm sitting here sweating. I might as well go back to t-shirts already. That shit fucking sucks. Fucking hate California.
We are Charlie.
I swear to God, I said I was pulling up a different movie trailer. I don't know what it was, though. God, I wish I could find that Toxic Avenger clip, though. Oh, you know what? I might be able.
Julie?
I found it.
Julie, the points, the rules, what are they?
Okay, yeah, hold on. Let me. This is one of the great scenes of all time. It was -10. Yeah, I'm fucking jealous. I know you're gonna say I don't know what it's like, so I'm not actually jealous, but I am incredibly jealous. Oh shit, I'm still screen sharing. I didn't even realize that. But anyways, this is what I was gonna pull up anyways. Yeah, this is a scene from The Toxic Avenger. Um, this goes back to Annie saying, "How many is a Brazilian?" This is what that makes me think of when she explains the point system and she goes by race. Although I don't think she says Brazilian, but seriously, I've talked about this movie like 100 times on stream. You guys gotta watch this if you haven't.
Julie, the points, the rules, what are they?
Okay, let me see if I can remember the whole list. Now, Jews, womps, niggers, and chinks. They're all worth 25 points.
25 points for all of those.
But Puerto Ricans?
Puerto Ricans, for some reason, are more.
They're worth 30 points. Now, kids under 12, they're worth double points.
Skippy, don't forget your helmet.
Okay, sis.
And be careful out there.
Julie, does it count if I graze them?
Gotta destroy them. Bozo. I want them dead.
Oh, now we're gonna get him. Come on! Come on! Come on! Where the fuck is everybody? Where the fuck is everybody? It's always the same in the end. How much is a kid on a bicycle?
Ooh. 28 points if you can get both the kid and the bike. Let's take a closer look.
Oh, he's a cute little boy, isn't he?
How pretty late, aren't you, honey?
The coast is clear, Bozo.
We got him. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him.
I fucking love seeing people fly over cars like that. And then it's not over yet. The best part is not even done.
Now you get full point. No, wait. The kid's still moving. We're not finished yet.
He's still moving. No way you get full points.
No way, huh? No way. I'll fucking show you no way.
I really want a car with a gear shifter like this. That's what I want to find. What cars have shifters like that, where it's like the full, the full like U-shape handle like that? That looks badass. I would buy a whole car just to have that as the gear shifter.
Give me that drink.
Come on, girl.
And then this might be the best part is the girls. The girls that want to go take pictures of it.
These are gonna be the best shots we've ever taken. Now, this is fun. Ah, these are great.
Show me a pretty picture.
Great shot.
Way to go.
That's a great fucking movie. It's a classic. I hope that kid gets up and starts capping through. No, the kid's done for. The kid's out. The kid is done. He's not even a character in the movie. He was just there to get run over. And then I'll probably get copyrighted for that movie clip or whatever. But like I said, I'm not too worried about tonight's stream. I'm just kind of bullshitting my way through it. Tomorrow, Dixon Sider will be on. This is the kind of girlfriend. Dixon Sider was talking about how he needs a racist girlfriend. And I've been saying, obviously, yes, but this is the kind of girlfriend you need, is a girl that encourages you to run over kids on bikes and then takes pictures of the scene. They earlier in the movie, they pull out other Polaroids they have of people they've run over, and they get all in the zone looking at those pictures. It's weird. It's a funny movie though. And these guys die like halfway through the movie, obviously. Or I guess not obviously, but I think the guy that's driving, it might take a little bit longer. He's kind of like, I guess you could say, the main villain of the movie, but it's kind of like the protagonist is the real main character of the movie. It doesn't really matter who the bad guys are in the movie, I guess, but they remade that movie, and I watched it recently, and I wasn't too big of a fan of the remake. Peter Dinklage was cast as like the Toxic Avenger guy, and I didn't really like that. It's hard to remake trashy, cheap movies like that from the 80s. Even it was the same company that made it too. It was Lloyd Kaufman, and I forget what his company is called. Trauma. It's Trauma Films that remade it. So they were in charge of the remake too. But I still didn't really like how they did it. They also did Class of Nukem High, which I like slightly more. Class of Nukem High is fantastic. I like that a little bit more than the Toxic Avenger. But the Toxic Avenger is like their most popular one. I always like the second most popular when it comes to like anything. Like with My Chemical Romance, everyone likes the Black Parade, but I always preferred Famous Last Words from that album, which is like the second single. There's a bunch of other cases where this is a thing with me. Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. I always preferred Come As You Are. If we're choosing between those two, the singles, obviously, with Nirvana, I like the B-sides and the deep cuts that are pretty much just noise. Yeah, people made whatever back then, and they made a shit ton of money on it. Nowadays, if somebody were to make that movie today, I mean, one, that movie would never get made with the language. It was just in that one scene alone. But, you know, and too many people are way too, like, optimistic about it. Like, you'll see directors and movie reviewers that are like, "Oh, these are the best times ever. Anybody could just go make a movie on their iPhone in their backyard. Anyone can make a movie." But it's like, let's not pretend like everybody goes on YouTube and watches movies that were filmed on iPhones. Like, let's not act like it's really that easy to just make a movie and, like, become successful. It's not. You cannot literally just make a movie on your iPhone. I mean, I guess you can, but no one's gonna watch it, so I always thought that was kind of a silly, like, optimistic premise. I think the last case I can think of that is, the YouTube channel Bite-Sized Nightmares. That guy went on to make Skinamarink from the popularity of his YouTube channel, where people would, like, submit their, like, ideas for nightmares or whatever, and he would record them, put them on YouTube, and then it became popular enough, and even that only has, like, 53,000 subscribers, and he was able to crowdfund a $2 million movie. Or no, sorry, it's not a $2 million movie, it's like a $15,000 movie, and it went on to make $2 million and got a theatrical release, but that's, like, incredibly rare nowadays. And also, I don't think that guy's done anything since. But alright, here's an example. He would just do things. He would just make videos like this. And it goes on for a whole minute. There's better stuff. There's, like, better examples. There's a 30-minute video. I think it's called Heck. And that was, like, his most popular thing. But, here's a better example of what this guy would do. Just stuff like this. Which I guess is stuff I think would be fun to make too. It's really just, like, shots of a room with, like, crazy filters on it and then, like, certain noise. The shot looks like it goes on for fucking ever.
So I went over to her room to see what was up.
I don't know what's up with that voice. It sounds like a retarded
She
guy.
and my mom were both in the room. Standing over them was a skeleton. He was wearing a suit.
I don't know. The autism narrator voice is killing it for me, honestly. He could have done better with that voice. But the Skinamarink movie is awesome. A lot of people hate that movie, but it's like one of my favorite horror movies. I think it's like actually like a scary movie. You know, like most horror movies, well, all horror movies are not scary to me because they're not real. But Skinamarink is like actually scary in the sense that, you know, like after I watch it, I'm like afraid to go downstairs at nighttime for like a week. It takes me like a week to recover from watching it. You also run the risk of falling asleep during it because it's so quiet and dark, but it kind of adds to it because if you fall asleep, you'll wake up to one of the 3 jump scares in the movie. And then, you know, it kind of adds to it. Like, I got another one. This is one of my favorite, like, artsy-fartsy movies of all time. I think I've talked about this before too. It's called Enys Men, ENYS space, and then MEN. So it looks like Enos Men, but it's pronounced Enys Men. I think it's Cornish. It takes place on an island in, what is the country? What the fuck is Cornish? Like, what Cornwall? It takes place on an island off the coast of the coast of Cornwall. I saw a Facebook ad for it one day. That's how I found it, and somebody called it The Shining if it took place on like a desolate island, which is a little misleading, but it does kind of make sense. It's basically just about this lady. She's like a volunteer for like a nature conservation, whatever. Little St. James. Now you're throwing me off. What are we talking about, Little St. James? Oh, are you talking about like Cornwall? Is Little St. James like an island off of Cornwall? Small private island in the United States Virgin Islands. Oh, is that Epstein Island? I didn't know Epstein Island actually had a name. That's actually hilarious. So the real name of Epstein Island is Little St. James. Man, you've got to really do a lot of shit to get an island named after yourself. Like it was called Little St. James, and then he did so much shit on there that now they just know it as Epstein Island. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Here, let me pull this bad boy up.
Not really.
And this movie's not even old either. It's just shot on film, and they did a really good job with how it looks. I think it came out in like 2016. And I don't know how they made it, like I said, in England, right? I think Cornwall is like somewhere in England or by England or something, but they got some grant. You know, a lot of other countries will give out grants if you make movies in their countries. Like if you go to Canada, right, they'll give you money to make a movie because they see it as contributing to the pop culture output of their country, basically to compete with America. So this movie was funded by some European company that funds movies that are being made there. I think it's only like a $200,000 movie, and I might even be overestimating it a lot, but I don't know how they shot it on film, considering that like Rob Zombie made Three from Hell, and they said he couldn't afford to shoot it on film, so he had to shoot digital. You know, so they must have done some crazy shit with this movie to be able to spend the money on film when, you know, directors as big as Rob Zombie, all the way up to basically anyone that's like not Quentin Tarantino nowadays claims they can't afford to shoot on film. But then you've got these movies being made for, you know, very little money. There's another movie called Eight Eyes that came out. It's made by the director, the guy that directs The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. He made a movie called Eight Eyes. It honestly wasn't. I don't think it came out in 2023. It wasn't that great of a movie, but it was a first time, you know, it was his first movie, so I cut him some slack. For a first-time director, it was really good, and, they also shot it on film, and it had that really good old look. I just don't know how these, like, small-time guys with no money can afford to shoot on film, but then bigger directors can't. I would imagine maybe anybody can afford to shoot on film, but once you're working in Hollywood, like somebody like Rob Zombie is, they don't wanna pay for it. You know, like, I probably could shoot on film if I got it, like, 100 grand. And you probably also have to stick by, like, a really strict shooting schedule because, you know, when you shoot on film, you're actually working with a physical format. You can't be wasting that shit. You can't waste shots. You gotta know exactly what you're shooting before you even go into it. Alright, I've hit, like, an hour. Who's even left? Who's left besides Shit Piss? Okay, Triple E is probably still here lurking in the background. I would assume the third one is Proto Max, maybe just driving or something. I think I probably just answered my own question. Probably cut it. Probably cut this off within the next 5 minutes or so. I'll wait and see. I'll leave this uploaded. I'll wait and see. Maybe I get a copyright for the trailers. Maybe I don't. I'd imagine I'll get a copyright for the footage of what was it called? Toxic Avenger. I also forgot I was going to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre getting picked up by A24, but I said a few words about that last night, and there's not much more I have to say about it. I think it's going to be kind of lame. A24 is going to be doing they're doing a series, which also is terrible because that means they're going to do a Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, and it's going to be on some streaming platform that I don't have, and I'm not going to buy just to watch one show. You know, they're going to put it out on like Hulu or Amazon Prime, which I haven't had. By the way, I got rid of Amazon Prime a couple months ago just because I've been broke. But I would like to get it again because I enjoyed having Amazon Prime. There's actually a lot of good movies on Prime. Buddy and I used to make home videos when we were young. They're pretty good, but they got lost. Dude, I always wanted to. I always wish I would have been into movies when I was younger. Because I wish I was one of those kids that was like making movies in the backyard and shit. But I didn't get into movies until I was way older. You know, at least to the point that I would like to make movies. You know, when I was younger, me and my friends would go to Blockbuster, but we would just get like a comedy movie and just watch it while we were hanging out. Or we would get like seasons of Saturday Night Live. We'd get like the best of Adam Sandler on Saturday Night Live or something. It wasn't until like my late 20s that I got into film, like as an art form. But So I missed out on the whole, like, oh yeah, we used to make videos in the backyard era. And I also wish I would have done that, because you can do movie stuff kind of by yourself, you know? I know obviously, like, you need a crew. Oh, that's my chair squeaking. I was like, "What the fuck is squeaking?" You know, obviously, to make a movie, you need, like, a crew, but I was always trying to be in a band, and, like, I always complain about, if you're in a band, you know, you're relying on the motivation of, like, the 4 or 5 other guys you're in a band with. Whereas, like, if you wanna be a screenwriter, you know, that's all on you. You can make it yourself. And that was always my issue with the band thing, was that I always wanted to be like the next Guns N' Roses, but everybody I played with was totally content with playing shows and getting paid like 20 bucks and a couple beers, you know, which is great. Don't get me wrong. But I was always like, don't you guys want to like not have to work normal jobs? Like, wouldn't it be cooler if we could do this for like a living? And then wouldn't it be cooler if we could like become millionaires and just become drug addicts because we have the money? You know, we have millions of dollars, but nobody ever wanted to do that. They just wanted to like play house parties and, you know, do whatever, which is obviously an important step on the path, but people were kind of content to just stay there. But if I had always wanted, if I was always a screenwriter, you know, I could have worked on that. Yeah, kids definitely aren't in bands anymore nowadays. Like, I don't think any kid in high school is like, oh, let's get a bunch of instruments and hang out in a garage and write music. And I guess that's better. They shouldn't, because it's not going to get you anywhere nowadays. I really feel like my era was like the last time you could put a band together and like make it, you know, put that in air quotes or whatever. Nowadays, if you want to make music, your best bet, honestly, is to just buy a fucking laptop, learn how to make music on that, which sucks. But I guess that's just the way of the world now. All right. Well, I think I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it. Thanks for hanging out. Shit piss. Protomax. Tomorrow at 6:30, I'm gonna be back on with Dixon Cider. That should be a good time. Maybe we'll have some particular stuff to talk about. I feel like we're still in the warm-up phase. You know, whenever someone gets on a live stream for the first time, like I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, you know, I'm like I'm considering the first like month or so to be his you know, he's got to get into the swing of it, figure out how he wants to even like talk on live stream or whatever. So who knows what we'll end up talking about tomorrow? It might be nothing, might be something. But yeah, fucking A. I should, like I said, I still plan on live streaming with Casper. I just we didn't make tonight work out, which like I said was probably my fault. I just didn't even talk to him until like a couple hours earlier. So I should have hit him up sooner to like kind of remind him or continuously remind him. But we still are planning on live streaming at some point. Most likely be gaming. Yeah, hell yeah. Always a good time. Let us talk in the background to ruin your gaming experience. No, I'm just kidding. But right on. Yeah, hell yeah. I'll talk to you guys fucking tomorrow. You know, blow out some eardrums.
And we're all here today to groove and have a beautiful time together, and that it's only the beginning.